Hello, everybody. I apologize for being away for almost a week. It has been one crazy week for me, but I am back right now, and I did not get to do our weekly energy update, but I did want to try to touch base with you guys to do the full moon reading for the full moon in Scorpio, which is happening on May 19th. So that is coming up. I'm already feeling some of that stuff coming in. Firstly, I'd like to mention that if you're watching this video on another channel, please visit the description box below and follow the link over to my channel so that you can follow me there. And comment there, please, because I will not get notifications if you comment on other channels about this video, okay? So, much appreciation to all of you who have recently followed or subscribed or left comments for me. I try to respond to all of them, so thank you, thank you. And it has been quite a transformational time, as you'll note. A lot of people have so kindly written back to me regarding my last two videos, especially 2 videos ago, which had a lot to do with victim consciousness. The following video was about the power of the observer, which is really how I worked my way out of that particular issue that took place for me last week, or at least the clearing of it took place for me last week. I hope that you guys have been able to move through some of the energy. It is very, very, I want to use the word volatile because I feel that it shifts on a daily basis. We are going through shifts on a daily basis. So the positive part of that is if you are in some kind of discomfort or in a place where you are staring into your shadow and don't care for it, as long as you're doing the work, then you will move through it fairly quickly. And the work really all is about integration these days. That is a buzzword. A lot of people don't really know what it means, but it, frankly, in my opinion, means it's all about accepting every single part of yourself and allowing it to then be transmuted into yet a new part of yourself. All parts that are united as one in unity consciousness, okay? Once you do that, you will know it because you will begin to feel this sense of peace. You'll begin to feel this sense of almost ecstasy, and that is where I have been in the last week, which is amazing. Even though I've been through a whole lot of things with work, I have had to exert my boundaries a number of times and remind, people of how, the organization that I run operates, things like that, things that are very 3D, but throughout it, I was able to maintain a place of balance, which I really feel was like that test for me, could I stay in balance during this challenging time? And a couple years ago, I probably would have gone way off balance, but it was a totally different experience for me this time around. So not to ramble, but if you're not there, then I believe you will be there soon, sometime over the summer into the fall. And this is really all about achieving internal balance, internal union, accepting the shadow into the light, by the light, and letting it become one, no longer trying to excommunicate our own darkness, It's about taking it in and then allowing it to become something new, something higher vibrational within us, just by virtue of being in acceptance. So, we are going to do some cards today. I am a multi-dimensional channel as well as a transformative energy healer. So I like to use cards. That is how I allow some of the channeling to come through. Not all of it. Some of it comes through anyway, but this is how I choose to do it. So we're going to use the tarot. And I am first asking source energy and the other highest light beings, ascended masters, angelic forces, to provide whatever information we're allowed to know regarding the full moon in Scorpio on the 19th and what we need to know. So I would like to know, let's first get the energy of this full moon. What is the energy of this full moon that's coming toward us, or that's coming up for us in the next couple days? What is the energy we'll be interacting with? The first card that popped just a few moments ago was the Magician. And so the word I'm really hearing for that is transformative energy. And while I normally associate the word transformation with the Death card, I'm feeling that this is transformative, and that it's through our own will and through our own choice that we are making this transformation. And that is a very important aspect of this. I believe it has something to do with the placement of Pluto. Again, not an astrologer, don't even know where Pluto is, but actually I should know because it's been in the same place, or usually stays in the same place for a while. Where is it? I think it's in Capricorn. It doesn't even matter. Yeah, so the High Priestess just came up. High Priestess with the Magician. To me, this is all, and Pluto is all about the deep, the underground, the unknown, the shadow side that we were just talking about. And it is also about transformation. Okay, Death card equals Scorpio ruled by Pluto. Okay, so now it's all making sense. So I feel like there is a very deep transformative energy that's coming in right now through the Scorpio full moon. It will have to do with balancing your light and dark and coming into balance within yourself. Here's that full moon showing up in this card, and that snake for transformation. Okay. I'm hearing about the secrets of the deep. So the secrets that are beneath, like buried beneath you. It's almost like this is your opportunity to learn your own secret language, saying your secret language. So if you can see on this Magician card, there are the alchemical symbols drawn there. And to me, it almost feels like runes. And so it's almost like this secret language of who you are buried within you in your shadow self. It's like you're encoded with certain energies, and this is your opportunity to really come in contact with, dig up, accept, and integrate some of the energies which you have not even been able to see yet. It's almost like these rejected superpowers or something like that. And I use the word rejected because they feel like they're not on the surface. They feel like they're in the shadow, so to speak, okay? So pay attention to those when they come up. It could be that in the shadow stuff, all the stuff about yourself that keeps coming up and making you feel uncomfortable, or is in the center of all your upsets right now, is somehow linked to your greatest skill, your greatest gift, your greatest capability, okay? And this High Priestess as well makes me feel like this combination is literally, to me, feels like the skills, the occult skills, or the skills that are buried beneath. I say occult not meaning to equal things like magic or whatever that we would typically say are occult, but occult as in buried in our shadows that are coming out. So that's the energy that I'm feeling. It's actually very intense. I'm really feeling it in my heart right now. Some of you are going to be grieving through this process. There's going to be grief. And I don't say that to scare you, and it might not manifest as like really obvious grief. I'm trying to connect to what this is telling us. Okay, so this is transformative. There's a part of you that is going to be grieving the old you, okay? There's grief for what is now gone and dead as we transform into something new. So that could mean anything for you. That could really mean that you're transforming and your skills are developing and you're becoming somebody who you were not before, or that you always were, but this was buried, right? So you're transforming into your fuller potential. You could literally be leaving parts of your life behind. There is definitely a huge release. We're on the edge of some huge release. Some of you have already experienced that. I feel that I have experienced a really big release. I could have others coming, but I've definitely just experienced a huge release. Some of you have these things coming in the form of relationships that are of the old paradigm moving into now you're moving into a new paradigm. A lot of you are moving out of occupations that are of the old paradigm, and you're moving into the new paradigm with these buried, quote, occult skills or superpowers or whatever we're going to call it. By superpowers, I mean like your own personal skill set. I don't mean like literally superpowers. Just to make that clear for anybody who's like, oh my God. Although who knows? Who knows? Somebody once asked me in a reading, like, when do we get to levitate? And I was like, I'm just going to ask the cards. And basically what the cards said to me is when you stop believing you can't. So just putting that out there. All right, so let's move on to what changes should we be expecting coming in with this full moon on the 19th? What changes should we be expecting? Queen of Cups. That makes sense. What changes should we be expecting coming in with this full moon on the 19th? That's too many. Okay, nothing else is coming out of that deck. Feeling drawn toward this one. This is the vintage something, Victorian wisdom or something. Okay, this makes sense. So we've got the Queen of Cups with the grace, And my finger's covering that word, but anyway, Queen of Cups with grace. So this is a greater compassion. I really do feel like it's additional heart activations and opening. I'm feeling that grief in there. So it could be that we need to continue to release any grief that's occupying space in our heart center so that we can accept this new flow of its unconditional love. It's this universal unconditional love and the grace that comes with it. So it's the healing that comes about when we, again, integrate the dark with the light, creating this new energy, this cleared, balanced energy, which allows the flow of grace. It allows the flow of unconditional love. I am looking at all these waves here. This is just like reaffirming the need to release anything that wants to flow in or out. Okay? Accepting the grace, releasing the shame, the guilt, the grief. There's something that they're saying to me about ancestral patterns. And I believe that this is also relating to this idea of things that are buried in the deep, okay? Because it's buried deep in your DNA. And I say that because the DNA, as it's transferred, also takes with it the energy surrounding it. And so whatever energies they were carrying were passed on in half to their child, who then passed that on in half to their child, etc. And so there are all these energies that we carry along with us that can need to be cleared. That's something that we do in Theta Healing, just, we clear it on the genetic level. There are all kinds of other healing practices that do the same thing, but we are releasing things from our family histories at this time. I'm specifically hearing right now intentional covering of the third eye, intentional stifling of the intuitive abilities, which might be another reason why the magician with the high priestess are coming out. And the intuitive abilities also relating to the water signs like Scorpio, and directly to the moon, but also relating to, can relate back to Pluto as well. So we've got the moon, which is related to Cancer, and Scorpio related to Pluto. Both of them water signs, both of them having to do with the deep, the intuition. Okay. There has been a covering of this intuitive, this third eye for many of us through generations. And I feel like it's the stifling of the self, it's the stifling of the knowledge, of the seeing, which allowed other people who were living, it allowed control. It allowed others who wanted to control the masses to control. I almost feel like this is a patriarchy versus matriarchy thing, where this is part of how the patriarchy takes control, is by shrouding that third eye. And that is done simply by suggestion. It is done by programs, on the mental level, where we begin to think that that kind of wisdom, that kind of knowledge is evil or is not, is not trustworthy or something like that. And so that created a fear of that kind of internal knowledge, that kind of wisdom that comes from the deep, that comes from the intuition, that comes from the feminine, the maternal, right? I'm seeing, they're saying something about biting into the apple, okay? So and that being a good thing. So it's almost like it relates back to this like story of Adam and Eve, this sort of Christian mythology. Sorry, I feel that this story is mythology. I don't think it's literal. If you disagree with me, I apologize, but that's just admittedly my perception of it. But anyway, that story painted that knowledge as evil, right? But it's not. Like, we're now being asked to release that blockage, to allow the intuition, the shadow, the things coming up out of the shadows to integrate and become part of us, okay? I think there's a lot there. Actually, that's a very rich image. There's a lot in regards to this card, this high priestess, this dark and the light, the integration that is relating back to, in a very rich way, this Adam and Eve story, this knowledge having been given by the dark, the snake, the snake, which equals transformation, right? But in this story representing the devil, and how the patriarchy created that symbol as something to fear, so negative, which are now opening up with this sort of divine feminine influence that's coming in, and the flow of that unconditional love, compassion, divine feminine influence, and the grace. It's all about grace. If you needed confirmation that this is not something that is forbidden or negative or evil, this is the flow of grace. And part of that is opening this third eye again, opening the eye of wisdom that we each hold within each one of us, digging deep, digging down into the deep and allowing it to come up and out, okay? I feel a lot better now. It's like all that had to come out. Let's get some more cards. What's the advice? What's the advice, please? What's the advice, please? Okay. The first two that popped go together, kind of. Well, they pop together, but they also kind of go together. Number one, the first one is Ice Queen. Introspection, self-analysis, fortitude with isolation, loneliness, reconnection, home. I'm hearing a return home for the divine feminine, a return home for the high priestess, a return home for the shadow, you know, allowing that, again, the integration, that we have kept it in isolation, and this has kept us imbalanced. It has kept us out of our own personal union. And when you come into union with yourself, the personal power that results from that, the balance, the literal ecstasy is what I have actually been experiencing this week. It's freaking weird. It's only weird because it's not something that we experience on a day-to-day, you know, because we're so used to being in this isolation, this separation consciousness, right? Which we talked about last week when we talked about the victim consciousness. We talked about the martyr consciousness. This is reconnecting that. Isolation, loneliness, reconnection, home. So this is the coming home of, the leaving the isolation, the reintegration of, the melting of the Ice Queen. I think I wrote a blog about the melting of the Ice Queen, because when I started this most recent cycle of awakening, you know, we've all been through several, but this most recent one, I called it like the melting of the great Ice Queen, because I had spent so many years building my fortress that no one could ever breach, you know, and I've spent the last year or so melting it. So it's a personal message for me, but I think it is applicable to all of us. And just allowing us to come home to ourselves is really what they're saying right now. The melting around the heart space, the thawing of the frozen encapsulation of the great wisdom, especially the divine feminine wisdom, which was blocked for so long out of fear of what it could do. But each one of us, men and women, it doesn't have to do anything to do with men or women, we each have access to it, but we've blocked that for so long. The next card that came out is Sanctuary. Healing, comfort, faith, restoration. Okay? Same idea. It's coming home to yourself, healing yourself, regaining the faith in that, restoring the faith in that wisdom. And I'm hearing the internal bodily wisdom as well. What is inside you already, that we can then access on our own. We don't need a priest or a rabbi or any kind of religious person to make that connection to the divine for us. It's our birthright to have that connection to the divine. That third eye is our connection, I mean our crown, but also the third eye is where we receive this kind of divine wisdom. It's our birthright to have access to that at all times. And it allows us the knowledge to understand how to put the two together, how to put the shadow with the light and become one and become whole within ourselves, and to balance and to live in this state of 5D and above, you know what I mean? The state of bliss, the state of union, okay? Once you become that within yourself, you begin to attract it in all the different aspects of your reality. Now, I can't say, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Like, I expect fully that I will need to clear and continue to transmute and heal other things. I don't know if I will remain in this state of balance, even within the storm. You know what I mean? The storm of the 3D, where we are expected to operate. You know, we do live our lives in the 3D, but I can only hope. I'm sure I will be up and down a little more. But this is like this just really amazing energy that has come in, and I hope that you are all feeling it, or at least will be very soon. I want to give you all my unconditional love and thank you for watching my video. I'm going to go ahead and end it there, and hopefully get a few more things posted as we move along. I am headed to New York City tomorrow morning, which is the 17th, and we'll be taking in-person appointments in the New York City area. So you can always feel free to reach out to me about that. Anybody else, I'm still doing Zoom appointments for anywhere in the world, of course, and phone appointments as well. So if you have liked this, do feel free to check out my website, IamEmilyGear.com, and set up an appointment that way. And if nothing else, I would love to hear from you. Let me know if this resonated, and subscribe, share, okay? I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you. Bye.